welcome to the evening review with me, Ashwyn Mberi. Now, last week, Malawians headed to the polls to, amongst other things, elect a president. And as we speak today, Malawians have made a decision and they have chosen Peter Mutharika to take over from Lazarus Chakwera, who took over from Peter Mutharika. To get into this particular subject in depth, we are now joined by Mr. Karen Iron Msiska, a seasoned communication specialist with over 17 years experience spanning journalism, public relations, and behavior change communication. He is in Malawi. Mr. Msiska, thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much, and thanks for considering me.
It's wonderful to have you on the evening review. Before we get into the set of questions, I understand you are in Lilongwe. What's the atmosphere been like in Malawi over the past week?
As soon as voting stopped or completed, there were incidents of some skirmishes, particularly between supporters of the outgoing president and his party, the Malawi Congress Party, against the supporters of the incoming president and his party, the Democratic Progressive Party. There were some incidences where people believed to have been set by the ruling party, the outgoing ruling party, rather, so to say, wanted to touch down a financial institution, a government financial institution, the National Economic Empowerment Fund. We haven't established the reasons yet, but security quickly called the situation. And so that was as soon as the voting completed, and it was actually on Wednesday last week. And then as it became clear that the incumbent president was losing, there were incidences where supporters of the Democratic Progressive Party of the incoming president caused some skirmishes in Blantyre, where it is deemed where it deems it as a stronghold. As a background, the Malawi Congress Party, that of President Lazarus Chakwera, is mostly based in the central region of Malawi, Lilongwe, and surrounding areas. And then the Democratic Progressive Party is predominantly in the southern region, where is Blantyre and surrounding districts. And then the northern region, Zuzu and surrounding districts, usually becomes a kingmaker in these elections. So back to the question, we've had some incidences, particularly yesterday and the day before yesterday, where starting with where someone was beaten up because he shouted a DPP slogan. And then yesterday we heard of some situations in Blantyre where after the outgoing president had conceded defeat, supporters of the incoming president started beating up those that had been known to be supporting the outgoing president. So those are the key issues that we've been hearing about since the run-up to the announcement of the results. But ever since the results were formally announced yesterday, we've had no clear indication where supporters might have come to a conflict. Actually, it was all celebrations last evening as soon as the chairperson of the Malawi Electoral Commission declared Peter Mutharika victor in the last.
All right, sir. And I do think that certainly President Lazarus Chakwera's early conceding contributed, I imagine, to, quelling down some of the fires which were starting to sprout. And as we know in this region, post and pre-election violence is something that we always have to keep an eye on. Now, this was a resounding defeat for Lazarus Chakwera, a man who has had a political rivalry, which has pretty much defined his entire political career with Mutharika. The last time Lazarus Chakwera got the best of Mutharika, of course, this was after the annulled election. But what do you think were the factors behind this resounding defeat?
As a background to the rivalry between the two, we have to go back to 2014. Lazarus Chakwera had abandoned his pastoral ministry to join politics, and he became president of the Malawi Congress Party. And the first election he contested against Mutharika in 2014. So it was Mutharika for Democratic Progressive Party, Chakwera for Malawi Congress Party, versus Joyce Banda, who was incumbent at that particular time. Joyce Banda came third in that election. So the contest was mainly between Peter Mutharika and Lazarus Chakwera. Then come 2019, Malawians went into that election with a lot of hate against Peter Mutharika. Things had gone really bad, that it really had to take an election that was poorly managed for him to be re-elected, and eventually that was nullified by the courts. So Malawians went back to the fresh presidential election in 2020, and at that time, I should believe and clearly point out here that Saulos Klaus Chilima, the late vice president, was the kingmaker in that election. In 2019, he pulled a good number of votes, 1,200,000 something. And then when he joined forces with Lazarus Chakwera in 2020, it was really a resounding victory for Lazarus Chakwera. Peter Mutharika was defeated. And then, as we headed to those elections, there were quite a number of promises to Malawians that Malawians accepted as really the benchmark for going into transformation for the country. Unfortunately, those promises were not fulfilled, and I really believe that is the reason why Lazarus Chakwera has been punished this way by way of being voted out this resounding. I will mention a few of those things. As he got into government, Lazarus Chakwera promised to significantly reduce the price of fertilizer. You might wish to know that Malawi has a peasant farmer base of around 85% of the population. So everyone depends on the fertilizer. And then come to govern, the fertilizer prices actually went significantly very high. And not everyone was happy with that one. And that should be one of the reasons Chakwera has been punished in this way. Then secondly, he failed to decide on very critical social issues. His government was famed with using middlemen to get a number of services for government. And his secretary to the president and cabinet was the one frequently mentioned in this case. Eventually, we ended up we ended up with very lean forex reserves, and being a country that relies mostly on imports for most of these services, that meant the country was in trouble. Hospitals started feeling the pinch of not having critical medicine, and then there were persistent fuel shortages. And even the week that we were going to vote, the president came out and blamed someone from the national oil company that they were sabotaging his government. As a background, I had just signed an agreement with a number of East Asian countries to be supplying fuel products directly from government to government. But Malawians, we did not actually feel the benefit of that. We did not feel the benefit of that arrangement. Eventually, fuel shortages continued, and the person being mentioned as the architect of all these mishappenings is the same secretary to the president and government. And then the prices of maize, the staple for Malawi, it went really, really high. So almost every social aspect was going beyond the average Malawian. The cost of living had skyrocketed dramatically during his time, and all this was because he had failed to make the critical decisions. And eventually, when these things started going up, we couldn't even control the situation. So it was like the country was on autopilot, and then the things went going haywire, and the government seemed not to be in control of the situation. So that is, I believe, that is why even the former president, now incoming President Peter Mutharika, gathered the courage to say, no, let me give it a shot,
All
and
right.
definitely indeed win. Though he didn't
Yes.
campaign as widely as Chakwera campaigned, but
Yes.
the way he had garnered the votes across the country tells us that indeed things had really got bad, and Malawians have a lot of expectations from Mutharika himself.
All right. You know, that's
Remember,
sorry to cut in over there. You know, it's very interesting because a lot of Africans were surprised, particularly because as time goes on, African youth are getting a little bit tired of the older generation. You look at Botswana's voting, you look at Senegal, younger guys coming in, and there was some, you know, element of surprise in realizing that Mutharika, who's already quite advanced in age, was being brought back. However, he is also credited during his tenure for some significant infrastructure upgrades in Malawi. So we can understand that Malawians were looking back at this man who actually had what they felt were tangible results, regardless of how it ended. And it seems like they felt like that's an opportunity to give him another chance. And at the same time, you know, from Peter Mutharika's side, as much as he won, he did apparently beat a man that was beating himself. We're going to take a quick break before we come back and talk more about Mutharika and what we can expect from his incoming government. Welcome back to the Evening Review. I am in conversation with veteran Malawian journalist Karen Iron Msiska as he's giving us an update with regards to the recently concluded Malawian election, which has been won by Peter Mutharika. Mr. Msiska, Peter Mutharika, the old man, the old president, is now going to be the new president. How much of his victory is due to his own credentials as opposed to Chakwera's apparent failings?
honestly speaking, I would not link the victory to Mutharika's credentials. I would put it to be a punishment for Chakwera for not fulfilling the promises he had made to Malawians. Remember, in 2019, it had to take demonstrations in the streets after the Malawi Electoral Commission had declared Mutharika winner. So generally, Malawians were saying that the bar during Mutharika's time went so low that Malawians didn't want him in office. And then here comes Chakwera, who takes his own bar really beyond the bar that Malawians said had gone the lowest in the history of the country. So I should believe that the reason Malawians are going back to Mutharika is not necessarily because of his credentials, but because at least during his time, comparatively, they were better off. The prices of goods were better off than the time Chakwera has been president. So definitely, Malawians are looking for a quick solution to the situation they are in now.
Interestingly, you
Temporary
said,
and as yes.
interestingly, you said quick solution. And that's where my worries start to kick in because as you have highlighted, this is a punitive vote. Were there no other options for Malawans? Why was Mutharika the best reaction to Chakwera?
The Mutharika brand was repeatedly being mentioned as proven leadership. So proven leadership in the sense that when people sat down and compared Mutharika and Chakwera, they saw Mutharika as a better devil. So there were some options. We had former President Joyce Banda, who took over from the late Bingu Mutharika immediately after his death in 2012. She has performed very miserably. Then in came also Daliso Kabambe, who moved from the Democratic Progressive Party of Peter Mutharika to succeed late Samuel Oscar Chilima as the UTM party president. There were high expectations that he could do a little bit better, actually push these two, and or even being the option for the two, veteran Mutharika and Lazarus Chakwera. But the performance on the ground has just been that very miserable. It's scooped a little under 10% of the votes, very far away from even 20%. So the options were there, but I should believe people wanted quick solutions to the current problems, and they did not see the alternatives as solutions to the prevailing problems. But so that solution in Peter Mutharika, and I should believe that maybe going forward in 2030 and the like, DPP must not sit on their laurels to say we managed to get back government, and then going forward we are going to enjoy the popularity of the Malawians. I don't believe that, and I should believe 2030 will really be an interesting election for Malawians.
That's actually the question that I wanted to follow up with, because you are a veteran communication specialist and journalist who has observed the environment for years and years with regards to politics in Malawi. Your instincts, what are they telling you? Is this a one-term president?
Mutharika is 86, and they say, but his age is quoted as 85, 86, but he's 86. Go by what himself said in 2015. I don't think he would be in a position to stand again in 2030. One, because he will be 91. And then secondly, he will have completed his 2 terms as president. The Malawian constitution guarantees only 2 terms of office, be it consecutively or you skip one in between and come and back to complete another 5 years. So, to answer the question, yes, this should be a one-term presidency. And then if you look at his vice president, the retired Justice of Appeal, Jane Answer Senior Counsel, she's in her 70s. I don't know if the Democratic Progressive Party will still stick with her to say front the party, or they're going to look for another candidate to represent it in the forthcoming elections. As for the Malawi Congress Party, why I'm saying it is going to be an interesting election is because UTM party has significantly improved on its 2019 performance as regards parliamentary representation. I think they have 24 members of parliament from this election. In 2019, they had 4. So in 2019, they performed reasonably well on the presidential stage, but the performance was very poor on the parliamentary side. This time, the presidential performance has been pathetic, but they've done really well on the parliamentary side. So I believe if they can stick together, they could be one of the options to consider seriously in the 2030 elections. For Malawi Congress Party, Lazarus Chakwera is in his third term as president for the party. The party provides for 2 terms. He was given a third mandate because he was a sitting president. So they don't go to a convention and then replace a president who is the national president. They gave him that chance. So I don't think he's going to stay. The party will definitely elect another president to represent it in 2030. So looking at the background I just provided, so in 2030, we might have 2 newcomers from the DPP and the Malawian Party, which are the bigger parties, and then someone who is already known in the name of Dariso Kababi, who is will be going into his second term as president for the UTM party, and being someone who represented the party during the 2025 elections. So come 2030, we are going to have at least a battle that will go to either of the 3 parties, UTM, MCP, and Malawi Congress Party, based on how one, UTM stays together and then rebuilds, and then secondly, how the Democratic Progressive Party decides on who to replace Tariga, and then thirdly, how the Malawi Congress Party quickly comes out of this defeat, rebuilds, rebrands, and market itself ahead of the 2030 election. So it's really going to be something interesting.
Yes, indeed. It certainly sounds interesting. And one wonders if for Lazarus Chakwera it's back to the pulpit. But we also have to just ask this question. It's 4 years from an 86-year-old man. How much transformation can we really get out of Mutharika? Or is the goal stability?
We are anxious to see how he is going to continue from the infrastructure foundation that Lazarus Chakwera and Malawi Congress Party has done in the 5 years ending. Yes, they have performed really badly on the social side of life, but they have done really well compared to the past maybe all multi-party presidents in the country. These guys have done really well. Lilongwe has seen an uplift in the kind of roads. Mutharika left the roads in the capital city tattered, full of potholes. Chakwera has managed to upgrade all of them. We have 6-lane highways in the city, and most of them are dual carriageways. We were not dreaming about that one. And then the Chakwera government is implementing construction agreements that were actually signed during Mutharika's time in 2015, 2017, but nothing happened on the ground. He came, picked it up, and the work is being done. 40% of renovating and upgrading the M1 north-south highway from Lilongwe, going up as far as the northern region, around 200 kilometers, 300 something kilometers from Lilongwe going northwards. Okay. And then there is another critical road infrastructure, the M5 or Electoral Road. This was touted under Bingu Mutharika's time as part of the Mtwara corridor, where he was dreaming of constructing a road network from the Tanzania side on the Indian Ocean up to a port Tanzania would build on the eastern side of Lake Malawi, and then the ships would come to Nkata Bay, and from there connect the road going downwards, southwards to Blantyre and surrounding areas, and then to Mzuzu and the northern region. That road is also being refurbished. And then we have the key railway line. So for the first time since 1994, government paid attention to its transport system. You know, you cannot develop economically without a vibrant railway system. Chakwera managed to restore that one. So those projects are still ongoing, and we are going to see how Mutharika, who ignored them, is going to continue from where Chakwera is living now.
All right.
So if the question is to say uh, where exactly will Mutharika focus to develop this country, I would say I don't see any further action apart from correcting the mistakes that Lazarus Chakwera made. So,
All right.
as this needed attention, I should believe restoring the economics performance, the social infrastructure,
And of course, the
and
fertilizer as well.
yes,
Yes.
fertilizer. And for your information, I've been reports around the prices of maize. Even before Malawi Electoral Commission declared the results yesterday, the prices of maize started tumbling.
All right. We're going to have to leave it there, Mr. Msiska. Thank you so much for bringing us so much potent information from Malawi, and we're definitely going to have you back on the show.
Correct, thanks. And thanks once again for considering me and having me on the program.
Truly, truly an honor, sir. That was Mr. Karen Iron Msiska, a veteran communication specialist and journalist in Malawi, breaking down the Malawian election and what to expect from Peter Mutharika as Lazarus Chakwera finds his way out. My name is Ashwyn Mberi. This has been the Evening Review.